Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be the first video of a series to show you my own process of how I go through and rank players in preseason, pre-draft for fantasy baseball. This is going to be stats heavy. I go through a lot of the stats, basics, advanced statistics, just to kind of get a full picture of a player. Each stat tells its own story, has its own perspective of the player, but you got to put them all together to see the full picture. So I'd like to kind of show you how I do it, which stats I value, what I look for, in hopes that maybe it will help you with your own rankings and with your own fantasy baseball seasons. So, a couple of things. First off, I'd like to show you which sites I extract my data from the internet to put in here onto Excel. So my main three, we have Fangraphs. This is going to be your basic stats, your advanced stats. They have everything you could ask for. Next tab here, Baseball Savant. This is going to be the StatCast, and we'll go through all those as well. Very, very interesting stats. Great to find power guys, to find speed guys. And then Fantasy Pros. I use Fantasy Pros, and this might be a little controversial, but I like to look at the preseason rankings, the aggregate averaged out rankings, to give myself a starting point. I know some people like to start from scratch when they're making their rankings, which is fine. They say, oh, you look at those preseason MLB rankings, you might get biased on how you're going to view it. So I like it to give myself a starting point, and I'll show you the process of how I plan to go through and make my rankings. But I like to use it as a starting point, and I kind of go through head to head each player and determine where I'm going to place them in my lineup. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back here. I just quickly want to run through the stats that I'm primarily going to focus on. Now, of course, this is all data. Fangraphs, you can go to the leaderboards, hitting stats for 2019 season, any season you want. And this is great too, because you can, even in season, let's say it's July. I use this a lot, especially for pitching. I want to see the last month, the last 6 weeks, who's been the hottest. You can split it here, last 30 days. You can give yourself a custom range name, so you can go through and really tailor it to exactly what you're looking for. But right here, this export data, you can make yourself a customized chart, stats you want, export the data into an Excel file. Same thing, Baseball Savant. You go to the leaderboards, download CSV. That's going to give you the data. And all I did, I just imported into Excel, and you got it. Okay, so basically this is my positional stats page. I call it that because I can go through here, sort by position. Right now I just have it on all hitters. These rankings are based on these Fantasy Pros pre-draft rankings. I uploaded those in. But as we go through and make our own custom rank, I'll update this as well. Give ourselves the full picture. Real quick, let's run through these stats. A little background, my primary league is a 5x5 category, runs, RBIs, home run, OPS, and stolen bases, okay? I included average on here because I know a lot of guys will play in category leagues where average is one of those categories. In my league with the OPS, it's going to favor power. It's going to favor people who get on base. So obviously on base slugging. So I also included caught stealing. This helps me out a lot because if you look at people who have similar amount of stolen bases, You look at caught stealing. If they get caught stealing 25% of their attempts, maybe they're not going to be running as often this next coming year. You think about things like that. And you know what? All these stats we're going to go over again and again and again as we do these head-to-head matchups with all these players. So we're going to get very, very familiar with them if you aren't already. And if you aren't already, especially when we get into these advanced statistics coming up, I'll give you another little cheat sheet here. You go to Fangraphs, you go to Glossary. You don't know what WOBA is? Here you go. This is how they calculate it. But even better, why you would want to use it, how to use it. Some of these advanced stats are going to be good to predict future performance. Some of them are not as good. Some of them are just going to give you, oh, this is how they performed in the past, and that's what we're showing. Not necessarily going to predict the future. So it's good to really dig in and understand what these numbers mean. And then they always give you the context, the rule of thumb, what's good, average, great, excellent. My rule of thumb, if you look at Mike Trout, if he's got that number, you can just assume it's excellent. For the most part, that is true. So these are some of the advanced statistics. So plate appearances, you got to have that in mind when you're looking at stats. Just so you know you have a decent sample size. And especially when you're looking at the counting stats, like Tatis Jr. here, last year, 22 home runs, his rookie season. Only had 372 plate appearances, though. Because he was injured for a good portion of the season, 2019. Think about he gets a full season, 600, 650 at-bats. At that rate, small sample size, I know, but at that rate, you can maybe expect 35 plus homers, So I love that kind of upside. So keep plate appearances in mind when we're looking at all this. Walks and Ks, I want high walk percentage, low K percentage. Okay, I want people who are not going to chase bad pitches, be able to work the count. And I want people who, when they get pitches, they're going to hit them. They're going to put the ball in play. They're not striking out. BABIP. So like I said, you can go through Fangraphs to get a better understanding, but it's the batting average when they put the ball in play. Average in the league is about 300. Okay. Some hitters, like Christian Yelich, let's take a look at this. Some hitters, so the way you might use BABIP is in season. Let's say they have a 1 month streak. Their BABIP's 400. They're hitting 400 on balls in play. So that's something that might not be sustainable. You might expect them to regress just a bit. But with Christian Yelich, look at this, his rookie season. 21 years old, 2013, 380 BABIP, 356, 370. His career average is 358 BABIP. That's ridiculous. So you see Christian Yelich in the middle of the season with a BABIP of 370. You might be thinking this might be sustainable for this dude because when he puts the ball in play, he's hitting it hard. He's getting hits. So BABIP's a good tool when you look at it, but I wouldn't always count 300 as the baseline. I'd look at their career numbers and kind of see where they're at with that. So like Mike Trout, 298, you might think, oh, that's pretty good. I mean, that's about average, right? So I can expect him maybe this season to perform just as well, but his career BABIP is 348. I think he underperformed. Maybe just got unlucky throughout the season, but he had a great season in 2019. MVP performance type season. So, it's scary to think that he should have and could have been a lot better. All right, let's go back to the stats real quick, just brief. WOBA, weighted on base average, that's going to consider extra base hits, weigh those favorably, help you pick out the power guys. WRC plus, about 100 is average. When I'm looking at players, I like to filter for about 110 or above. That's usually the range I like to be in, with some exceptions. ISO, this is your power number. Helps pick out the power. Speed, it's gonna use this in conjugation with stolen bases to kind of pick out who's fast. Also, Baseball Savant StatCast has sprint speed stats. look through that as well to help you out. WAR I don't use that much for fantasy. I just included it. It's a fun stat to look at. But WAR includes fielding as well. Not super interested in that when I'm trying to pick out the best speed and power hitters. But I just included that on this list. Next we have the batted ball profile. What I'm looking for here, I'm looking for line drives, fly balls, and hard contact. I want minimize soft, minimize ground balls, okay? And then another thing we're going to look at this home run to fly ball rate. The league average is just under 10%. Excellent is 20% or more. That's when you hit a fly ball, is it a home run? So Mike Trout, 26% of the time he hits a fly ball, it's a home run. And 50%, nearly 50% of his batted balls are fly balls. So that's ridiculous. So hard hit, fly ball. And that's going to be a common theme when we get to the StatCast categories later on. Okay. Plate discipline. The big ones I'm looking for here, out of zone swing percentage. Are they chasing pitches? Mike Trout, 20%. He's not chasing. That's low. Bregman, great eye. He's not chasing. And you'll see with these guys, they may also have higher walk rates, you know. And then you got the zone contact. When the ball's in the zone, it's a hittable pitch. Are they making contact with that? 88%. It's the Mike Trout rule. 88, that's elite. High 80s into the 90s, that's elite. So you got those guys. Those guys are going to have low strikeout percentages. If you go back, it's going to correlate in some way. So we're going to pay attention to that. And then this last section here, this is going to be from the Baseball Savant page. You got your WOBA, we already talked about. Oh, batted ball events. This is them putting the ball in play. X-WOBA is their expected WOBA. So they're putting the ball in play, and based on launch angle, speed, you know, the velocity, all that, based on the StatCast measurements, what is their expected WOBA? So you see Trout, he underperformed just a little bit. Okay, you can see, you know, Yelich maybe overperformed just a bit. So this is something to keep an eye on. If there's a big gap there, you know, you look, you know, maybe they're going to regress, or maybe they're due to have a better season this time around. Launch angle is important. I'm looking at guys, and then later on here, the exit velo. I'm looking at guys greater than 90 average exit velo and greater than 15-ish, like mid-teens, 20s launch angle. On average, that's what I'm looking for. Like I said before, the high fly ball percentage, high hard hit percentage. These are the guys that are going to give you power. So I look at launch angle, I look at exit velo, and then barrels per plate appearance. Are the guys squaring the ball up? Are they hitting it right on the barrel? This is a good measurement here. Usually 9 and above is a pretty darn good number. That's what I'm looking for. So when I'm going through this chart, sometimes I'll put filters on. I'm going to say, I want someone barrel greater than 9, exit velo greater than 90, launch angle greater than 15. See who it comes up with. And sometimes you'll get surprise players that you don't even think of. They're not part of these top 20 guys. You'll find some guys down lower who are going to fit those criteria. So, you know, those are going to be the important stats that I'm looking at, that I'm going to be working with. So just to show you how I'm going to do the rankings, basically hitters. We'll start with hitters. We'll get to pitchers later on. I want to get through, you know, the top 100 to 140 players, because I play in a 10-team league, and I'll usually hold about maybe 12 or 13 bats. So I'll get through those top players. I'm going to rank who I like the most. And this is how I'll do it. And this will start in the next video. I'm going to go back to Fantasy Pros 2020 rankings based on 15 experts. Okay. They have Acuna, Trout, Yelich, Mookie, Bellinger. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the top 2. I'm going to go. We're going to compare the stats here. We're going to go Ronald Acuna Jr. We're going to go Mike Trout. We're going to walk stat by stat through all the categories that we just covered and really determine, based on the whole picture, who's going to be the better player. Who am I going to prefer going into the season? Okay. And so also to note, this is going to be a focus primarily on my league. So I said 5x5, runs, RBI, home run, OPS, stolen bases. I'll comment on the average. I'll comment on some other things as well. But we're gonna get to work. The drafts are coming up, beginning of March, middle of March. We got about a month and a half or so to get these rankings finalized to prepare ourselves. Okay. So next video, I'll go ahead and I'll start with these top 2, and we'll just head to head all the way down the list, and we'll go from there. We'll probably try to do about 10 players per video and just keep going. All right. So see you on the next video.